Tonight, we're exploring one of America's oldest and most chilling mysteries: the supernatural theories surrounding the disappearance of Roanoke Colony. Was it starvation, assimilation with local tribes, or something far more sinister? As we peel back the layers of history, we'll weave through haunting possibilities that will keep you awake. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. And check the links in the description for more ways to support us. In the summer of 1587, Governor John White stood at the edge of the New World, his boots crunching against the coarse, unfamiliar sand of Roanoke Island. Behind him stretched a colony of hopes and dreams, dozens of men, women, and children striving to carve out a new life in a land that seemed to breathe secrets. It wasn't much: a collection of timber-framed houses with thatched roofs, the scent of salted air and freshly tilled soil, and the constant hum of cicadas that seemed louder here than back home. But it was theirs, a fragile settlement with little more than faith and desperation holding it together. John White loved his people, but he loved his family more. His daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare, had just given birth to the colony's first child, Virginia. The baby's cry was a symbol, a promise that the colony could thrive, or so White hoped. But whispers of trouble came early. Supplies were running low, and the local tribes, once cautiously welcoming, had grown cold. When White announced he'd sail back to England to bring provisions, there was hesitation in their eyes. Fear. They didn't want him to go. Even Eleanor's voice trembled as she pleaded, "Father, what if you don't return?" "I will," he promised, and he meant it. He meant it as much as any man could when faced with a voyage across a sea that claimed ships as casually as a farmer reaping wheat. When White left, the colony faded into the horizon behind him, swallowed by mist. He didn't know it then, but he'd never see them again. 3 years passed before White returned. Delays had plagued his journey: war, politics, storms that roared like vengeful gods. He finally made landfall on August 18th, 1590, the day of his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. The scene awaiting him chilled his blood. The settlement was gone, not destroyed, not burned, just gone. Houses dismantled, tools abandoned, and the earth itself seemed to hold its breath. The only sign of life, or what had been life, was a single word carved into the wooden palisade: Puroatone. Another word, CRO, was etched into a nearby tree. White's men searched the area, their shouts echoing unanswered through the forest. They found no bodies, no signs of a struggle. Just silence, heavy and oppressive, like the island was holding a secret too terrible to tell. Years turned into centuries, and theories flourished like weeds. Some believed the colonists had starved and died, their bodies scattered by time. Others thought they'd joined the Croatian tribe, seeking refuge from the unforgiving land. But whispers of something darker lingered. The locals had stories, ancient tales of the island itself being cursed. They spoke of the Wendigo, a spirit of insatiable hunger that consumed those who dared to settle on its sacred land. Hunters claimed to hear screams in the woods, cries not of animals, but of something human. One story told of a settler named Thomas who ventured into the forest alone and returned days later with sunken eyes and bloodied hands. He spoke of a creature, tall and skeletal, its eyes glowing like embers in the night. "It calls to us," Thomas had whispered before he vanished the next morning. "It knows our names." Another theory whispered of witches. The colonists had brought their faith with them, but not all faiths aligned. Some believed one among them had turned to darker powers, summoning something ancient and malevolent. A shadow in the trees that grew stronger with every whispered chant, every offering of fear. The most haunting tale was told by sailors who visited the island decades later. They spoke of hearing voices, children laughing, women crying, coming from the waves. One sailor swore he saw a figure standing at the edge of the forest, its face pale as bone, its eyes burning with sorrow. When he called out, the figure dissolved into mist. The air around Roanoke was different. It carried the weight of too many unanswered questions. Historians analyzed the carvings, speculating that the colonists had gone to Croatoan Island, but no trace of them was ever found. Those who visited the island often reported strange sensations, nausea, chills, the feeling of being watched. One paranormal investigator in the 20th century described an overwhelming sense of dread as she walked the grounds. "It felt as though the earth itself was humming," she said, "like it wanted to tell me something, but couldn't." Another visitor in the 1990s claimed to hear whispers in the wind, soft and pleading. "Help us." The land resisted answers, defying even modern science. Soil samples from the island showed no signs of mass graves, no traces of the violence one might expect from a massacre. But anomalies lingered. Croatoan Island, miles away, held trees marked with scratches that didn't resemble any tool or animal. Marks that looked like desperate clawing. What if the colonists had never left the island at all? What if they had been taken, not by men, but by the land itself? Some believe Roanoke is a place where the boundaries between worlds are thin, where time and reality twist. They speculate the colonists were pulled into another plane, their voices still echoing through the veil, crying out to be found. John White would spend the rest of his life haunted by the loss. He returned to England, his hope crushed beneath the weight of guilt and unanswered questions. Every night he dreamed of Eleanor, her voice calling to him from the forest, "Father, help us." And every morning he woke to silence. Thank you for joining me on this eerie journey into the haunting mystery of Roanoke Colony. If tonight's episode of Phantom Astronauts Night Terrors kept you up, remember to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Don't forget to check the links in the description for more ways to support us. This has been Phantom Astronauts Nocturnal Tales. I'll see you out there.